I have a distinct honor now of introducing our speaker tonight. Greta Van Susteren, American commentator, television news anchor, Fox News Channel, of course, we all know that. She hosts On the Record with Greta Van Susteren. Ms. Van Susteren has interviewed prominent figures in political, sports, and entertainment arenas. She sits on the board of directors of the Congressional Medal of Honor Foundation and was recently dubbed one of the world's 100 most powerful women by Forbes magazine. So I would like now, if you would please, I'd like to direct your attention, and I would like to, is it the video screen we're going to, or no, Ms. Van Susteren, if you would please come up. Thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you. Sorry about that. I wasn't sure if we were going to a video.
Thank you, Mike. There's a box I'm standing on. You may have noticed most of your speakers are tall. That's because I had to get the box, and unfortunately some of them had to stand on it. It's very exciting to be here in the great state of Arizona, and I've done a lot of really fun and exciting things in my life, and probably one of the most fun things was in 1981. I was on an American Airlines flight. It originated in the state of Arizona, and it stopped in Chicago where I boarded it. I got on the plane, and I was about 2 years out of law school, and I looked down the aisle, and holy cow, there was Justice O'Connor. I mean, was that just about the biggest thrill anyone could have out of law school? So thank you, Arizona, for the first woman in the United States Supreme Court. I don't think she remembered me. Where's Ken Stumpf? Where is Ken? Where? Okay, Ken, do you have my back? Where's Ken? Okay, do you have my back, Ken? Okay, Ken Stumpf says he has my back. Ken is from Menasha, Wisconsin, about right over the river from where I grew up in Appleton, Wisconsin, which is about 20 miles south of Lambeau Field, and I can't let go that crack that was made about the Green Bay Packers. And I need Ken, Medal of Honor recipient Ken, to have my back on this because I'm going to read a statistics to all you Cardinal fans. Number of wins, Green Bay Packers versus the Cardinals. Green Bay Packers, 46 wins. Cardinals, 23. What last one? What last one? Anyway, I know Ken's on my side on this one. Anyway, so it's a very dangerous thing to say, but when you're a Packers shareholder, and of course you grew up in Wisconsin, you almost always are. You pay $200 to have a share, which is the only thing you get to do is brag about having a share. You don't get anything else. So I'm bragging tonight, although, okay, you won fair and square in that overtime, but how about that Hail Mary pass by Aaron Rodgers? Woo, this is a rough crowd. This is a rough crowd. Man, I've never seen such a rough crowd. All right, well, anyway, why are we here tonight? Well, we're all gathered here tonight because of patriotism and the accomplishments of and the examples set by one man, Joe Foss. Senator Joe McCain, also from the great state of Arizona, I'll give you that one too, once described Joe Foss's life as a story of human endeavor so great and so accomplished that it defies exaggeration. And boy, did Senator McCain have that one right. Joe Foss, all I can say is what a guy, a one of a kind, a great, great American. He was someone who in college was a football bench warmer, yet he rose up to lead a National Football League. He was someone who lost his father when he was just 17, yet turned around and became a father figure to thousands of young Americans. He was someone who saw Charles Lindbergh flying through the clouds over South Dakota, and inspired by the glories of aviation, he became a pilot, but not just any pilot. Joe was an ace. Joe was a World War II hero and of course, a Medal of Honor recipient. No question about it. America is a better nation because of Joe Foss. And from the examples of Joe's life emerged this wonderful institute, the Joe Foss Institute, and the Institute Civics Initiative, which is now sweeping the country and is a perfect example of what Joe stood for. Now, your participation, even just being here tonight, is an opportunity to honor what all our men and women who've served in uniform have done. They've risking their lives in order to protect us, to protect the rights and responsibilities of being an American citizen. And tonight, though, there's even a special privilege for each of us. We are joined by 16 men who, like Joe, are the recipients of the highest honor this nation bestows, the Congressional Medal of Honor. We're also joined by 6 other men who, like Joe Foss, are of the greatest generation, World War II veterans, men who fought the most noble war, the war for survival of civilization, and they fought it to unconditional surrender. And just to give you a hint of who's in this room with us, is one of our World War II vets, was present at Pearl Harbor, another flew Normandy beaches during the D-Day invasion, and another straddled 4 1,000-pound bombs over France, high over those skies. So there's no question, our World War II vets, they saved the world. They saved us, and not just us, but your children, your grandchildren, and every future generation to come. Current generations and future ones need to know this. They need to know history, and they need to know civics, and they need to know it big time. Turning to our Medal of Honor recipients, President Harry Truman said he would have rather been awarded the Medal of Honor than serve as Commander-in-Chief. We all understand that sentiment. Just imagine the honor our nation's presidents have, not just to be president, but this honor. They get to meet these men of extreme courage, to place that Medal of Honor around their necks and even gently touch them as they do. Any of us in our lifetimes would be very fortunate to meet just one Medal of Honor recipient. And tonight, there are all these Medal of Honor recipients in just this room. How can we be so fortunate as that? You know, and we're all so privileged to be among them, to be among these great men. So this is such a thrill for the rest of us mere mortal citizens. They're the bravest men ever to wear our nation's uniform. They represent and are the very best of America. And of course, there's no way to predict who will show that rare courage when it is so desperately needed. It's simply pure character. They just simply have greatness to the core. When the Medal of Honor recipients joined the military, none expected that someday he would meet the President of the United States, nor did any of them expect the nation's highest Medal of Honor to be placed around his neck. Each joined simply to serve, simply to protect us. I've watched many White House Medal of Honor ceremonies, and each of these heroes is humble. None asked to be honored with a medal. They speak only of their buddies, and we all know each would trade that medal for their fallen brothers. Watching these men at their ceremonies as their heroics are read and listening to those words, it occurred to me, in many ways, these medals are really for the rest of us, because it's our only way of telling these brave men how much we admire them and how grateful we are to each of them. So I thank them tonight, not only for their courage and their valor, but also for wearing their medals, because we want to see them, because it's our way of saying to you how much we appreciate, how grateful we are, and how much we admire you. I think about the many veterans we all meet every day. They come from all walks of life, and after serving in uniform, they continue to serve us in many ways, some by being just that all-important good citizen. That's such an important example. It's so important in our local communities that we see members of the military. They're always representing the great character of this nation. And of course, there are also the famous veterans, like President Eisenhower, Senator Bob Dole, President George H.W. Bush, to name a few, who not only led this nation with honor in Washington, but also served our nation on the field of battle. And just let me digress for 1 second. Senator Bob Dole, and I'll tell you a little story, and it's really something for my generation to think a little bit more about, is that a number of years ago, he spearheaded with others to raise funds to build a monument for World War II in Washington, D.C., on our national mall. And the night before it was to be dedicated, I was on the mall doing a live show, and my guest was Senator Bob Dole. And we were sitting here talking before the camera started. I was on later at that time, 10 to 11 Eastern. And all of a sudden it occurred to me as I was sitting here talking to him before the cameras rolled, I was somewhat ashamed of my own generation, because here was his generation who had saved the world, and it was his generation that raised the money for that monument. My generation should have. But anyway, I digress, and he's now trying, by the way, to raise money for a monument to honor President Eisenhower and all he did in World War II and for the nation, so you might want to check that out. So we know the famous who have served, but the not so famous are just as important. Many of them have served in wars like Iraq and Afghanistan, have come back with lasting injuries and some causing daily suffering. One Marine has been quoted as saying, who had a terrible head injury, "By now I've come to the realization that things are the way they are, and I'm just adapting, and I'm just moving on." He, like so many others, has sacrificed for us. And then, of course, the members of the military that we'll never get a chance to meet. How about the boys from Bedford, Virginia? 22 of them killed on D-Day. No single town in the United States have given a greater share of its young men than Bedford, Virginia. I've been to Bedford. I visited the National D-Day Memorial, and when that memorial was dedicated, Ray Nance, who was the last surviving World War II veteran from Bedford, said, "I never really got over it, and I'm not sure I ever will." Again, proof of the sacrifice for each of us. So now to us, to those of us who don't wear those medals. Some of us have never even served in uniform. We have a job, we have a responsibility, and an honor for our vets, and we need to honor our vets not just with parades, although that is fun, and they do deserve those parades, but we need to honor them by listening to them, by finding out what they need, and we need to meet their needs. They met ours, it's our turn to meet theirs. And for some, it's just a simple thank you as you pass them on the corner in your community. For others, it's a job. How about giving them a job, helping them find a job so that they have that chance at that great American dream that we all have? For those who are injured, we need to give them time to heal, and you know what? If they can't heal, we have to care for them, but not as an afterthought, though. But we need to care for them with dignity, keep their dignity. They certainly kept ours safe. Pride comes from what we can accomplish together, and everybody in this room, all of us, can accomplish much together. Gratitude comes from an acknowledgement of what we have and what we have the potential to achieve. We have great potential together. The importance of service to your country can't be overstated. The importance of courage can't be overstated. The importance of helping others, that can't be overstated either. And the importance of good citizenship, that can't be overstated. And this has cultivated all these qualities through good organizations like the Joe Fosse Institute. It teaches those core values of our republic that leads generations to service and that places courage in every heart. America doesn't just happen by itself. We all create it. And the Medal of Honor recipients here today and the 6 veterans from the greatest generation of World War II today, they all came from different places, small towns, big cities, farms, suburbs. They had families, teachers, coaches, pastors, friends, and most of all, they had a community growing up. They learned that in sacrifice you're in character, in selflessness you gain a sense of self, and that you can never do anything great without courage. Joe Fosse used to talk to kids all the time, and he was quoted as once saying, "If you sleep through life, you will have one heck of a time. It will get you no place on the face of earth." Joe learned that view somewhere in South Dakota in the 1930s. But if they're teaching that somewhere, and they still are, because 23 men here today prove that not all Americans are sleeping. They certainly were not, because we have produced heroes, and we are still raising generations who can likewise be heroes, capable of greatness. We're a nation that produces warriors, but different. These warriors would so much rather than build than to destroy. We're a nation that creates scientists, and when we fail and when they fail, they persevere and continue until great discoveries. We're the nation of children who, even when raised with no privilege, still strive, and even against all odds, can succeed. Joe Fosse used to say, "Who gives a who where you come from? It matters where you're going." We are still that nation on a move, a nation moving forward. We're still a nation of courage. And before I finish closing remarks, I just want to make a couple closing remarks just to the 23 men here in this room. the men who are our Medal of Honor recipients and who served in World War II. By your example, in times of war, you inspire courage that is essential to all of us. It's not just in times of war, but also in times of peace. And your personal greatness, and I've gotten to know a lot of you, your personal greatness is absolutely breathtaking. You know what? It gives us an opportunity to have people to admire. I know you're not all looking for admiration, but having people for the rest of us to admire is absolutely electrifying, and more importantly, it's inspiring. And you gentlemen here, you Medal of Honor recipients who have protected us, and World War II vets as well, you may not realize it, but your inspiration is what gathers people in this room tonight and in other places, and young students, to want to continue your message of greatness here in this country. And it's why we have programs like this. It's why people want to teach civics in school. And there's nothing more fun for any of us than to be inspired to do better and to do more in our own lives. And having you men here tonight does exactly that. And I thank you for your service, and I thank you very much for your attention. And now you're going to meet these men, and it's unbelievable. So get ready. This is very exciting because I'm about to introduce the presenters and the Medal of Honor recipients. The first one, oh, we're going to watch a video first. Mm-hmm.
When you look at the American flag, what comes to mind? What do the stars and stripes really mean? When it waves in the wind, what pride and reverence stirs within you? Our flag is an indelible symbol of who we are, ever vigilant as guardians of freedom from our shores to shores of faraway lands. You need not look any farther than the beaches of Normandy, the sands of Iwo Jima, the Battle of Guadalcanal, or the bravery on Hamburger Hill, or the frozen landscape of the Chosin Reservoir, or the other hundreds of battlefields where Americans answered the call and made the supreme sacrifice. Courageous acts of valor under fire are never planned or sought. They often come from the desire to help a soldier or sailor who's in harm's way. Those acts of selflessness and love for country and freedom have come with a heavy price, and we are blessed to have many of our heroes come home to share their love and pride of country with us today. We proudly pay tribute to some of the nation's Congressional Medal of Honor recipients and veterans of World War II.
The medal represents what the country has always stood for: sacrifice. The day I was born, on October the 2nd, 1923, I was handed a gem that is absolutely impossible to buy. That was my freedom. Can't pay for it. There's not enough money in the world. So this medal, to me, stands for sacrifice, service.
And it is my honor to introduce Herschel Woody Williams, U.S. Marine Corps, World War II, Battle of Iwo Jima, presenting Richard Atkerson, Freeport, Macaron. Ronald Rosser, U.S. Army, Korea, presenting Tracy Bame, Freeport, Macaron. Donald Doc Ballard, U.S. Navy, Vietnam, presenting Norm McClellan, Shamrock Farms. Harvey Barnum, U.S. Marine Corps, Vietnam, presenting Sandy Froman, Joe Foss Institute Chairman. Gary Biker, U.S. Army, Vietnam, presenting Jim Chamberlain, Sun State Builders. Patrick Brady, U.S. Army, Vietnam, presenting Karen Taylor, Joe Foss Institute, Vice Chairman. Our next Medal of Honor recipient has gone back to his room. He's not feeling particularly well. It's Bruce Crandall, U.S. Army, Vietnam, but Ed Robeson Communities is here. And we'll be giving him, obviously, his award. Sammy Davis, U.S. Army, Vietnam, presenting Randy Kendrick, Arizona Diamondbacks. Drew Dix, U.S. Army, Vietnam, presenting Ken Kendrick, Arizona Diamondbacks. We're going to get you up sometime. Roger Donlin, U.S. Army, Vietnam, presenting Dave McIntyre, Tri-West Healthcare Alliance. Frederick Ferguson, U.S. Army, Vietnam, presenting Don Brandt, APS. Jade, thank you very much. Someone get him a Nielsen box. Jack Jacobs, U.S. Army, Vietnam, presenting Mike Bidwell, Arizona Cardinals. Melvin Morris, U.S. Army, Vietnam, presenting Randy Stillinger, American Airlines. Kenneth Stump, U.S. Army, Vietnam, presenting Congressman Trent Franks. Jay Vargas, U.S. Marine Corps, Vietnam, presenting Ron Rand Medal of Honor Foundation. Our next recipient has also gone back to his room, Gary Wetzel, U.S. Army, Vietnam, presenting General John Allen and Jeff Spanky Peterson and the 2015 Joe Foss Institute Patriotism Award recipients. We'll make sure that he gets his... Oh, Gary, they said he went back to the room. Go, Gary. Gary's here. Why am I not surprised? Gary's still here. Jack Duncan, U.S. Navy, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, presenting General Spider Marks. David Foyle, U.S. Army, Air Corps, World War II, presenting his daughter Carolyn Jacobs and son Mike Foyle. Jack Holder, U.S. Navy, World War II, presenting Don Smith, Copper Point. John Maruziak, Jr., U.S. Air Force, World War II, presenting his daughter Edie Ramakolis. Thanks, sir. Todd Silverman, U.S. Navy, World War II, presenting Colonel Greg Gadsden. Donald Wilder, U.S. Marine Corps, World War II, presenting his grandson, Brian Wilder. Ladies and gentlemen, those are our heroes tonight. And a round of applause for all of them, please. Thank you very much.